everybody, and welcome to Tuesday, September 21st board meeting with Seneca Central School District. Thank you for being patient with us. If we can begin today with the pledge to the flag. And Will, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just tap it. It's okay. No, it's okay. There we go. Sorry about that.
Okay.
We have the Superintendent's Report.
Sure. All right. Thanks. Thanks, everybody, for bearing with us for a little while there. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. So just wanted to start off, first of all, just by saying we're starting off the second week of the school year, and I would say by and large things are going pretty well. I guess from the standpoint of the kids seem really excited to be back, the staff, our families, so it's been great, honestly, just to start off the school year with some sense of normalcy for our students and staff. So I know we've had some challenges in terms of quarantines and things like that, but honestly, I think just being able to get the kids back in as much as we are, it's really worked out well for us. So lots of people, I know at the last board meeting I mentioned, there were a lot of people that helped to make that possible to get us back here too as well. So lots of folks, our transportation department, our buildings and grounds department moved quite a bit of furniture around the district this year. Our administrators with scheduling and logistics, all of our clerical staff. Our nurses have been absolute rock stars to start off the year. So just, kudos to all those, and a lot of the people that I haven't mentioned, our teachers, just the level of enthusiasm was palpable in the first few days of school especially. So I did want to just talk a little bit, though, just to the group, a little bit about some of the quarantining procedures that are taking place around the district. I know I sent out a communication yesterday as well as one last Friday, too, but just, I think it's something that's just it bears mentioning again, so I'm using a variety of forums to be able to do it. So just to start off, we've had some students that were placed in quarantine. I will say, though, that we do not, school districts cannot quarantine anybody. Only the Department of Health is able to quarantine. And not to rehash all the rules and regulations around it, but in a perfect world, the county health department reaches out to us. Okay, so if they become aware of a positive case, they call up. Generally speaking, it's the school nurse. We have a great working relationship with the county. They'll tell us, hey, just so you know, so-and-so has tested positive, and then they'll ask from us for lists. Okay, who's sitting near that person? And if they're within 3 feet, that's typically what triggers a quarantine if somebody's not vaccinated. If you're vaccinated, you don't have to be quarantined typically unless you're experiencing symptoms. So if you have 2 or more individuals in a given group, so like a classroom or a school bus, within a 10-day period to test positive, what the county has been doing is quarantining the entire bus or classroom. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean from that day forward. In a lot of cases, the last time the person was, in contact or on the bus or in school was a few days earlier. So you say 10 days, but then you subtract whatever days have already taken place since the last time that person was in. And also, too, just want to clarify, quarantining is not the same thing as a positive test. I did have a couple of questions about that, a couple of parents that just asked, just because somebody is quarantined, there was somebody said, hey, whole classroom of kids tested positive over at a school, and that's not the case. They may have been quarantined, but there was only maybe 2 people in that classroom that actually tested positive. So, generally speaking, what the county has said is if you are 3 feet and have a mask on, generally speaking, they're not going to quarantine you unless they see multiple people in the same venue in that situation. So, just throwing this out there as well. Some people have asked questions too, like, well, why doesn't the school call the instant they become aware of a positive case? In some cases we do, but we try to have that verified. The last thing we want to do too is usurp the county's authority or their contact tracing. We may say this person appears to fit the criteria of what they call a close contact and therefore should stay home. And in some cases we'll do that if the situation is really obvious, or if we've spoken to the county, that's easy enough. But the last thing in the world we want to do is call up somebody and say, hey, you can't come to school, wait for the county to call you, and then the county never calls them. All right, and I will say they've been busy. The county health department, the contact tracers, and even the state health department's been assisting. They've been busy as well. So that's why we really try to wait and take the lead from the county in these situations. So we have to be able to verify to some degree, yep, this person would be deemed as a close contact. And it's sometimes difficult to do that. If it's a Sunday afternoon or a Tuesday night at 10 o'clock, getting rosters or being able to see who was present in a given day or a given time. So it's not a perfect science, and the contact tracers at the county health department would be the first people to tell you that. So just putting that out there, letting people know big picture that, I think my opinion is the county is going to get better at contact tracing. We're going to become better partners. This is going to evolve. It's a frustrating situation if you're a parent, right? Your child's perfectly healthy and we're saying you got to stay home. I get that. All right. I've had experience with it as well. So it's not easy, but I guess what I am saying is I do feel as though it's going to get better to some degree. I think we're going to, partner with the county to hone our, contact tracing skills to the point that, we're making sure that it's the right people and that, it's happening less and less frequently. So one of the other questions too, and we have a couple other folks that'll be able to speak to this a little bit tonight, though. Folks have been asking the question like, so what happens, as far as the education is concerned? Now we have, obviously our teachers are working to put in place their digital platforms and, how they communicate with our families and students. There's email, there's phone calls, there's Google Classroom, a variety of other different platforms that we're utilizing. I mentioned this too in a video yesterday as well as in the communication. We're actually working with our teachers in all of our buildings. We're offering up some opportunities for teachers basically to be academic supports for our students. So it's not necessarily going to be your child's teacher. It could be that might be available, but we're looking for some after hours opportunities so that students, as they're working through some of their things, hey, I'm at West Middle School, I need to talk to an English teacher. We're looking to make an English teacher available remotely, for a period of time throughout the course of the week to be able to help follow up with some of the homework. In many cases, the kids that are being quarantined, it amounts to, and this is not insignificant, but it's 4 or 5 days of school or something along those lines. So, at the end of the day, just trying to make sure that we have somebody in place to be able to support the students is important. So that's why we're taking that step to be able to do that. So, and again, I know Carmen and John can speak to that a little bit, maybe more in detail later on as far as that process goes. But we expect to have some things in place pretty shortly, to be quite honest with you. So. I know we've got a number of presentations tonight and some other things going on as well, so that's all I'm going to offer for tonight, unless anybody has any questions on any of those things.
Pete, you good? Okay, thank you. Molly?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I know, I've heard from a lot of community members who have concerns about the quarantining specifically on our buses. And I know, Matt, that you had mentioned that the district was looking into a few different options. So I'm just wondering where we are with that as far as keeping track of kids on the bus, because, looking around in other districts, it seems like a lot of the quarantining is happening from buses.
Yeah, that's a good point, Molly. Absolutely. I think one of the things that's happening the first couple of weeks of the school year is as kids are registering or kids, just trying to get them to stay in the same seats can be somewhat challenging. So we are exploring some technology right now that enable us to basically take attendance as kids get on the buses. We did explore the possibility of saying, hey, maybe our bus drivers might be able to take attendance. It's not safe. All right, we talked to the experts, and what the concern is that every time they take their eyes off the road to look down at something creates a liability, because then when they look back up, they have to reorientate to the situation and see, okay, who's around me? Did some kid walk in front of the bus and bend down or something like that? So from a safety standpoint, that doesn't work very well. We've really been trying to work hard to basically make sure that our seating charts on our buses are accurate. Our administrators are going to be helping to support that process as well. And just, hey, kids, when you get on the bus, you got to sit where we tell you to sit. One of the things I think I mentioned, I'm not sure if I mentioned in my video yesterday, I think I did. Unfortunately, we're in better shape than some districts in terms of transportation, having enough drivers and aides and whatnot. But we don't have an abundance. We have enough to be able to make do. But we certainly, it'd be nice to be able to, to have some more drivers. We just, when we're taking some steps for that too. I can tell you that you're actually going to see some signs popping up around the district and some advertising to try to attract some more drivers. We're going to be looking to offer competitive salary for drivers, so it's not just necessarily starting. If you come to us with experience, that could be beneficial to you, and you might be able to start at a little bit better of a rate. Offer paid training is another thing we're looking to be able to offer for people. That's not something that all districts offer. It's not something we've offered up to this point. And even offering some of our folks that are working part-time in the district. You might have some part-time cleaners or something that would be interested in going through the training process, getting certified, and then becoming a driver for us too. So we're really trying to attract more drivers in that sense. If anybody's noticed, there's a national crisis for bus drivers to the extent that the National Guard's getting involved in some cases, like in Massachusetts.
So, Matt, as far as the technology that you are looking into, how soon would we be, if that was the decision that the district made, how soon would we be able to implement that?
We're working on getting a demo as we speak. We met last Friday about this. So basically, it would be kids kind of being able to scan in as they got on the bus.
Okay.
So that you would know. This checks other boxes than just seating charts and things like this actually helps. I remember when I was a principal, sometimes you get a call on a late bus or something, and somebody say, "Hey, did Johnny Smith get on that late bus?" You know, and fortunately our drivers are pretty good memories. Oh yeah, no, he was on, whatever. But it'd be better to know, because those are the buses where you have a little bit more transients. It's not every single day that a student's necessarily taking. So this isn't just a COVID thing. This could really benefit us from the standpoint of just operationally speaking. It also may have some routing technology as well that would make it more efficient for us. Ed and I have talked about that before. Instead of drivers flipping through sheets and pages
Yeah.
and people scratching things out, this might be able to provide us with some ability to be able to actually have these things in real time. So, but it's funny, both Will Thiel and Linda O'Grady, who directs our transportation, we're both aware of this technology. We're just in the process of looking to get a demo. For all I know, there's a meeting in my calendar that says that we've got a meeting set up to do this.
Okay.
So,
So yeah, the sooner that happens, the better, I suppose. And then my next question is, if the district knows that a student indeed wasn't on the bus and it was in fact a mistake or an oversight by the bus driver in the district, shouldn't the district have the responsibility to call Erie County and make sure that Erie County knows that indeed that child was not on
Sure.
the bus?
Oh, yeah.
So
And-
we
and-
have that ability to do that.
yeah, we would call them and say, this person, we know this. Like, for instance, I can tell you if somebody had, they signed into school and signed their child out or something like that, that's a piece of paper right there that the parent's signature was on September 14th. It says this parent signed the kid in out. That's definitive proof that we know that the student wasn't on the bus in that given time and place. So,
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that because
Yeah.
I know of an incident where that happened and
Yeah,
just
me
want to
too.
make sure that that doesn't happen again because that
Yeah,
really
that's-
disrupts our families.
Yep, I couldn't agree more with you. That's not something I want to see happen either. I mean,
Right.
I'm aware of at least one situation where that happens, and I feel badly about it.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
any other questions?
I may be speaking out of, I don't know, maybe you don't want to. Do we not have video technology in our buses, or we do not?
No, we do.
So if there's ever a major issue,
Yeah, you have to go and pull the video and just make sure
That-
somebody
I-
knowledgeable of the student goes and
Yeah.
checks into it. So,
I know, I'm saying, it's not like we could lose it's not like we could lose a child without, there's something we could show where a kid was on the bus or not.
Yeah,
or
no,
If it came down to a kid being quarantined for 10 days or not. It's on every bus, correct?
we have, some of the buses are still getting their cameras installed because
Okay,
they're
we
newer
are
buses.
working on
But
that.
yeah,
Okay.
no, there's always, at the beginning, there's always a little bit of a lag time with some of the cameras just because the buses are brand new. We just got them in, so.
Oh,
and they
okay,
have to be
okay.
installed, so.
But in general, we should be up and running at some point with.
Yeah.
Okay.
My opinion is one child that happening to is too many.
Yes.
Fortunately, we haven't been inundated with calls about that, but it definitely happens. So, and it's something that we don't want to see happen again. So,
Can I just piggyback off that and ask one question? Would it be possible to take attendance on the bus before, the minute it hits school property, we're on the bus, the doors don't open until I know who is on the bus, or the bus doesn't leave school property until we know who exactly is on the bus. That way we don't have the issue of, is Johnny bent down picking up his pencil in front of the bus?
yeah. Yep. So that's a possibility. It's just we're a little tight on our times already. So, and that's not to say that it's something we wouldn't maybe go to in the event that this technology wouldn't work out, which I hope it would. But it's just already we're a little tight on our time frames, and we're trying to make sure that people get their kids to daycare and everything like that. So Jody, it's something we definitely talked about. So it's a valid point. So we even talked about the reverse of just as the kids are coming off, maybe checking the box. It's just that's going to add on minutes that compound over the 4 tiers of busing that we have. So, but if that's something that we eventually have to do, then we'll do it. So.
Yeah, I would just,
I'd rather my kid be 10 minutes late than 10 days in quarantine.
Yeah, I'm glad this is being recorded, by the way, too, because I agree with you on that. So,
yeah, I just think that's something, it's going to be inconvenient, but we need something in place until that technology is in place to ensure it doesn't happen again. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Good? Good? Move on to the board president's report. I'll keep it rather brief because I know we actually got some great presentations tonight. But I do want to say I appreciate everyone being here, and I appreciate the last few weeks seeing all the different board members out about all different events, whether it be interview committees, whether it be academy inductions, whether it be sporting events, marching band coming in first place 2 weeks in a row, stuff like that. I appreciate it, and all the hard work that you guys are doing with putting together our goals for the year and our different people that we want to invite and everything that we want to do with presentations and all that. So I appreciate all the feedback on all that and everything we're doing the last few weeks. Things are, I think, going pretty well, and I just want to thank you guys for that. The other thing that we are working on is we're going to be working on some goals over the next few weeks, trying to set some goals for the year, and then that'll help, obviously, Matt and his team with working on their goals too. So I want to thank everybody for that. Next, we'll move on to the Assistant Superintendent's Report, and who do we want to start with?
Dr. Cervoni, you want to go first?
Thank you, everybody. Very busy time, exciting time, certainly be back. Came out of a great committee meeting, as you know, that we'll be looking to replace our principal at East Middle School. So I know some people in this room were part of that committee and our screening process. So happy to say we're moving forward and hope to find a great new principal there. As Mr. Bystrach mentioned, and I'm sure Ms. Persico will, we are working with our building principals on developing some opportunities for some remedial support for students that if they have to be quarantined or even as they transition back to help them make sure that they're on track and getting caught up and just add a layer of support, which I think is obviously a great thing. Also today, we just were working with our administrators over the course of the 3 different groups, kind of calibrating them, preparing them for their observations and evaluations that they have to conduct on teachers. We have to do an annual calibration. So Mrs. Persico and I and Ms. Fowler worked together on that and met with our elementary, middle, and high school principals. And just busy time, just, working through. We've added a variety of staff right up into these last couple weeks, and we'll continue to just make sure that we have appropriate class sizes to support our students. So it is an exciting time. We're happy to have our students back and continue to be better at kind of managing this normal that we're living in. So any questions for me?
So I just want to take a moment, and we had said we're doing some interview committees and stuff. If you were a parent of the district and you're kind of looking to get involved, I know Pete's got a bunch of people on a committee that he's running. Typically, I would suggest reach out to building principal, reach out to your PTA, PTO of the building.
Yeah.
What about the upper levels above the elementary schools? They don't always have, who would you think would be the best people? If you're looking to just be part of something, you want to be involved, what would that...
As a parent?
Yeah, just as a parent. Someone who doesn't work in the district regularly, who's, again, I believe we took, for Pete's committee, we took applications, we put out a post. Sometimes the PTA is reached out to when they're looking for a parent to be a representative, but sometimes the PTAs aren't as big of people in the high school. So I'm just wondering, what type of people, where would a route be for parents who are looking to be?
I mean, all of our secondary buildings do have PTA or PTGs, and I agree. They're not the same as they are at the middle school, being a high school principal. I know my PTG, I was happy to have my 4 officers. I think if anyone is interested in being part of our process, they can certainly reach out to me directly. I think working with if you want to become more involved in your school, are you talking specifically an interview process,
I'm
perhaps?
talking interview processes or volunteering for stuff. I'm just trying to help people find a conduit. I know District Parent Council gets reached out to when you're looking for parent volunteers.
Absolutely. Typically, what I would do if I'm going to run an interview process, I would talk to, if it's for a teacher process and we're looking for a parent or student rep, I'd talk with the principal. We would probably reach out to the PTA president, see if someone maybe that's already involved and connected in volunteering at the school would want to participate. My phone number is always available, or email if someone has an interest or would like to be considered maybe for a future opportunity. I could kind of create a list, and we have a variety of opportunities and positions that come up, and always looking for feedback from the community. So I would be open to that.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Persico, do you want to come up next?
Take a drink through this. You got to stop me.
It's not going to work.
Good evening, everyone.
Just a few things that we have been busy working on in the Office of Curriculum and Instruction. Currently, we're working with the administrators and directors to finalize our district AIS, Academic Intervention Services, and our RTI, Response to Intervention Plan document for this school year. The elementary, middle, and high schools have a plan to embed that academic support within the classroom and then out of the classroom as well. And we're just really working to finalize the details in that. And once that is ready, we will present it to the board for your approval. The district-wide literacy committee is just about to meet. Its first meeting is next week, September 30th, and really that is our inaugural meeting where we will have discussions about laying the foundation for each of the building literacy teams, as well as developing our implementation calendar and really taking a look and analyzing current rubrics that we use in writing across curriculums, across grade levels, across the district. Our first data day of 3 this year is scheduled for this Friday afternoon. In preparation of that day, Dr. Dina Stevenson and myself have been meeting with individual buildings and their staff to really give an overview of the district-wide and building-specific data as a result of last year's DSIP survey. And then this Friday afternoon, all buildings will have a chance to really dig in deeper to that data, to assess all the results and create a plan that they would like to implement for this year. The survey will be administered once again this year as part of our DSIP in the fall, and then again in the spring, and we will replicate that process as we move forward. We are working diligently and collaboratively to implement the additional instructional support that Dr. Cervoni mentioned to the students who are quarantined. Just really our focus is right now currently securing people so that we have a bank of teachers available to provide these services for our students. It might require some makeup work depending on the timeline turnaround of identifying students as well. But really, we just want to make sure that these students have an opportunity to maintain contact with their instructor or an instructor, maintaining that contact with the district while they're out on quarantine. And then last, I was going to just mention the APPR, the Administrative Professional Performance Review Calibration. That is a yearly requirement. Dr. Cerrone and myself worked with the principals and directors today to really calibrate, evaluate some teaching samples, and we had really great discussions. So we always look forward to that conversation, which is an annual ritual now that is hosted by our offices. So that is all that I have right now to share with you tonight. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carol. Mrs. Fowler.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to piggyback a little bit on what Mrs. Persico said about the District Academic Intervention Services Plan and the RTI Response to Intervention Plan. We're working actively together as well with that process and the teams. As we all know, response to intervention can be a precursor to anyone who may benefit from special education services. So it's integral that we are a part of that as well and able to kind of outline some of those metrics. So we know when students who may need additional extra support or additional support or gone through that process, we are understanding the gen ed side of it as well before it gets to special education. So that's ongoing and continuing. I'm continuing to collaborate with our building administrators regarding an understanding and getting a sense of where their current staffing situations are. We've had new enrollments. We've had many kids move in. Things are somewhat settled now. Where are our current numbers? Where are our current classes? Are we accommodating our students with disabilities and what type of environments? And what do those section numbers look like, especially at the middle and high school? That's critical as we move forward when we know where we're at in case that we need to make any adjustments moving forward. Our office also has been pretty busy with most of the COVID testing. We're actively planning and working with Dr. Savoni and the HR department about planning opportunities for the New York State mandated testing requirement for any staff or faculty that are not vaccinated. So we're working through that process and trying to acquire resources and opportunities that would be available, just following the New York State recommended guidance and the requirement for that. Additionally, Erie County has something called Operation Expanded Testing that they are doing as well. and moving forward with that and working with them. Nothing is definitive at this point. They keep adjusting and getting responses from districts and trying to respond accordingly. So we continue to work with them, communicate with them, to determine what those processes are. More will be coming, and information will be shared with our students, our staff, our faculty, as well as our overall community. Nothing has been shared yet because things keep adjusting, so we certainly don't want to put forth too much information and then have it all change. So that is something that the Erie County Department of Health has been working on. We're also working very closely with our nurses and our district nurse coordinator, who's been extremely active with so many things that are happening, just to make sure our processes and procedures, as Mr. Bystrack outlined, are in place, and we're doing everything that we can to keep everyone safe and healthy and in school for as much as we can keep them here in school. Okay, any questions at this point? All right, thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jackie.
Appreciate it. We'll move on to our presentations. Get a business office update. Mr. Theo, would you like to join us, please?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I think you may have a copy of it in front of you. If not, it's on the screen for your review. Just by way of an update, just so you know what's going on in the business office, we're finalizing our independent audit right now. We're in the last few days. We expect to have the audit for the board's review in the October board meeting, which puts us on time with filing it with SED. So we'll have to schedule an audit committee meeting between now and that board meeting, and I'll work with Nicole to do that scheduling. Here's the status of our grants. $13.6 million of funding awarded through 2 federal opportunities, broken out into many different pockets, but basically categorized in 2 pockets. Carissa, and I'll explain what they all mean at the end in case you're interested, for a little over $6 million, and ARP, which is the easy one, American Rescue Plan, for about $7.6 million. So we filed both of these with SED, and the good news is the Carissa grant was approved today, so that's now active, and we'll move forward with that one. The ARP grant is under review still. It was only filed in the last 2 weeks, and we would expect no real issues there either. So I know the print is small on the screen, but we tried to accomplish a lot with the funds. First year spending is a combination of Carissa and ARP. Second year is also a combination. The third year, the 2024 year, is only the ARP grant. We're creating, these are primarily education direct contact positions, 27 positions to run the span of the 2 grants, encompassing everything from reading and additional elementary teachers for class size reduction to AIS assistants, after school assistants, credit recovery at the high school level, and the elementary summer program. I think you'll hear some more about that in a few moments. We've also built out the special education team under Jackie's leadership, and those people are on board now and actively moving into our buildings and working with our students. That's the original breakout. We included the SROs in here, as well as the community affairs specialist. The second portion of our funding was primarily technology related. We built out the staffs at the buildings. Several of those appointments are going through the board this evening. For the computer support assistant people, they'll be in the buildings helping the teachers integrate the technology, helping the teachers with the kind of real-time issues that occur when you're in a 42-minute period and you need to get something done and you need help immediately. So we're excited about that. We've also got 2 teachers on special assignment as technology integrators. That makes a total of 3 spread throughout the district, working teacher to teacher, if you will, to infuse technology into the lessons. And we're paying a couple of administrators stipends to help us analyze the technology that we do have on the software side, review new requests for technology, and really bring some order and some functionality to the process. And I'm excited about that. And it's been a good start there, and we're building on it quite rapidly. So the final portion is the finance department being a little bit stingy. So we purchased a lot of technology in the last year and a half through BOCES, about $1.7 million. We get aided by BOCES aid, but about 35 cents on every dollar is not aided by BOCES. So that represents the cost that the district absorbed. We're looking to recoup that through the grants and replenish the general fund with those monies. We've also suffered a small transportation aid loss as a result of aid being disallowed during the original portion of the pandemic. Between, I believe, was it April and June of the first year of the pandemic, which seems like a decade ago, and I know it was only like 2020. That's the calculation for the amount of aid we lost during that period, and we're allowed under this grant to recoup it and replenish the general fund. So those are two moves by the finance department that we'll look to put in place. We also have a line for facilities improvements, reserved $2 million. We had a meeting this morning with our architectural team in Young and Wright and decided, and we were moving forward on like ventilation projects, window projects, roof projects that may or may not have been contemplated under the current $75 million project, and that we could try to initiate and get through SED on a rapid time frame to change the in-classroom environment for the students. So if we prove unsuccessful on the facility side, we would look to redeploy those funds probably for instructional technology and take some burden off for future budgets by buying the funds directly with federal funds, buying the technology with federal funds as opposed to moving them through the general fund in a normal process. So grand total about $4.8 million in spending this year, $3.8 next year, and a little over $5 the final year, but $2 million of that's the facilities, and that could really occur at any time, depending upon when we can get the stuff formulated and through SED. Everything was submitted in July and September. We've addressed all the comments. As I said, Carissa was approved today. The one thing that you have to understand is as we see new needs arise in the district, we move to try to address them. So funds will shift. Any good budget guy over budgets the salaries in a grant application, knowing that once the reality of the hiring takes place, there'll be some extra funds. We have testing we have to implement. We have all sorts of new items coming our way by virtue of new regulation, and we're trying to hold monies available to address those things as we go forward. Technology for the bus garage would be one example that really just began discussions in the last week. So if you want to know what they mean, the words are there to match the letters. I know you, like me, get frustrated by acronyms. So they're there, not that they make sense even when you put the words to it, but that's what they're talking about when they had these grants. Is there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, before you said thank you, I was about to open my mouth. I
Not too late.
apologize.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. We'll get you next month then. So when we get towards looking at the full budgets for the year, are these numbers easily picked out because it's separate money being like, or does this going to still?
These are accounted for in a separate fund with separate codes.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
So dollar for dollar, they'll match up with the budgets we've presented and or will amend.
Okay, so this
There'll be
won't-
lots of budget amendments as we move the theoretical budget to the actual expenditure, but there will be, it has to be accounted for separately and distinctly.
Sure.
And it's
So-
being done right down to the individual code.
So almost the accounting of this process would be similar to, say, the bus fund, where it's accounted for as a grant and then we're spending it on this sort of thing. It's
Actually, think of it as running a whole nother school district, just a small one.
Okay.
And it's got its own set of books. It's,
Okay, so it's not going to look like our budget jumped an extra $5 million.
nope, it's
but-
in
okay.
what's called the special fund budget or federal budget. So it's audited by the same auditors, but it's not part of our general fund, that's taxpayer supported.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
But there is a time limit, correct?
There are time limits, they were on the first chart, or the second page. Spending under the Carissa by September of 2023, spending under the ARP by September of 2024. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will.
We want to move on to an update on our summer school.
So it'd be Mrs. Persico, Dr. Quinn, and Mrs. McCartan, if you guys wanted to swing on up.
Thank you guys for coming tonight.
I go to view, slideshow, there you go.
Summer camp. That sounds great too. Great leader. I like it.
Makes it sound fun.
I went to summer camp.
There we go.
I like that.
Sure. Hello again. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to just briefly overview the district-wide elementary summer camp program that we piloted this past summer. First time in a long time we've had a summer offering at the elementary level, but a departure from the traditional summer school of old. This was really a targeted camp opportunity for specific support for students. So our overall program structure that we're going to talk to you a little bit about tonight is we'll go over the location, the dates, the times, the total number of students that were enrolled, transportation, and then also meals. The program structure, the summer camp was offered at both Clinton Elementary and Allendale Elementary, and Dr. Quinn and Mrs. McCartan were our principals of the program at each of those buildings. It was a 4-week program and ran from July 12th through August 5th, Mondays through Thursdays. The teacher day was 8 to 11 o'clock. Students were there from 8:30 to 10:30. Transportation was provided, which was huge for this program. It really was a great benefit and really allotted for extra students to participate, given parameters with parents and working and things of that nature. Daily breakfast for all students was provided, and we had a total of 180 students enrolled. The rationale for the program, and I'm going to ask Kim and Holly to chime in as well. We really wanted this program to provide targeted support and instruction for those students who demonstrated a gap in skills that were necessary for successful promotion to the next grade level. Also, it was looking to provide individualized support to students in areas of need as evidenced through diagnostic assessments. So we had some of that as part of the program as well, and then towards the end of last school year. And then also to reinforce the basic skills of English language arts, reading, mathematics, that would promote successful future learning in those content areas. I'm not sure if either one of you wanted to chime in on that.
So the next part just talks about measuring student progress. So I think, can you just pass those down? One of the forms is basically what we used when we decided which students would be coming to the program. Teachers from the school year gave some specific areas to target. Because it was only 4 weeks, it was difficult. You know, they're little. They were K through 5 students. So we wanted to make sure that we were targeting the big overall goals that students needed to be working on. So, for example, maybe it was fluency, or maybe it was decoding skills, or in math, maybe it was understanding their basic facts. There are 2 separate pages there. I don't know if everybody got them. But the first one, the example down there, talks about what the teachers from the past school year gave to the summer school teachers. So we are off and running. So we knew what the students' current level was, and we had 3 goals in each area for ELA, for writing, and for math. And then as the program progressed, the second page that's down there that I think you should hopefully have a copy of was just really the final report that we gave back to parents, back to the school buildings. Like at my building, I house Clinton and Northwood students. So we wanted to see whether or not students gained in this area, whether they maintained it, that was the overall goal, or whether they regressed in that area. And I really have to say, students didn't regress. They were just happy to be in school for a longer period of time, and just they were soaking everything up that they could get. Even second graders who by this point in the school year, and it was the end of second grade, they were sitting and attending to listening to books, and they liked all of those pieces. So I think it's important to see what we were basing it on. It was a very individualized program for students, but it allowed the teachers to be up and running right away, because even at the beginning of the school year, a lot of time is spent really getting to know students socially, emotionally, and academically. Because it was such a short window, we wanted to make sure that the teachers for the summer school program knew what was happening.
So just to kind of piggyback on what Kim was just talking about, prior to summer school starting, there was a lot of work done on the front end. We had reading departments and classroom teachers working with building administrators in each of the buildings to really look at the assessment data that we had agreed upon to determine a priority list of which students needed it the most. They created a list. We determined how many we could invite to the program, and that information was then all sent to Kim and I, and we were able to kind of go through and invite those students. And then if a student could not come for some reason, we had a list of students who they really felt could also benefit from it in order, and then we were able to pull those students and invite them as well. So there weren't open spots. We were constantly able to fill in as we needed. So that really helped, as Kim said, get us going like right away. We also had teachers create data sheets where the teachers who knew the students the best were able to create kind of a quick sheet for the incoming summer school teachers that told them exactly what skills and strategies the students were lacking. So they didn't have to take time to go through the data themselves or to start doing some assessments themselves and getting to know the students. They were able to look at the data that was provided and know exactly what skill areas the students needed the most work on, so they could get started right away.
But I think it was an interesting concept. I mean, classes were very small, so instruction was very targeted towards individual student needs. I have to say, and sorry, I'm showing how old I am right now. Back in the day when summer school was here, it was about 20 to 25 students, which was great. And there was maybe one teacher in the classroom working with all these students who were identified as needing help. This was very targeted. Classes were no more than 12. There were teachers, there were reading teachers, there was a lot of support for students. So those goals that are listed on there, we made sure every single day that those students had individualized instruction so that they could at least maintain. I mean, that's the goal, that we really, that summer slide is what we don't want to have happen for students. We want them to at least maintain their skill level, so when they come back in September, they are where we kind of left them off that last school year. And this year, more than ever, that was really key, because we did have a little gap in time, as all of you know, that students were not, in school with us in a normal manner. So it was very helpful having that piece.
Yeah, and I think it's important just to point out, as you may already be aware, there isn't a number grade, right, in the elementary levels, and so that's really, it's different than the secondary program where they have a percentage and they get a score. This is really standards-based, and so the teachers really work towards closing the gap, reinforcing those basic skills that would help them be successful when promoted to the next grade level. So in any good program, you always want to have a reflection piece. You want to ask what went well, what would we change? And this wasn't something that we did on a hunch. We had surveys that were administered to staff and parents for their feedback. And then we also turned to the administrators to ask for their feedback of the program. What went well? What would we change? So I'll let them chime in with that piece of it.
I think probably one of the biggest things that we heard from our teachers was it was from 8 until 10. It was from 8:30 to 10:30. Sorry, it seems like it was so long ago now. 8:30 to 10:30 that the students were in program with us. Really, an extra half an hour would have helped that. But at the time when we designed it, we didn't want to overwhelm students. You know, they're still little. So it was 2 hours, 2.5 hours, I think would have been great. Transportation was great. Buses were always there. You know, so that helped a lot. You didn't have a lot of parents dropping off. They put their kids on the bus. We offered breakfast, but if you know anything about little students, having breakfast takes probably about a half an hour. So hence the reasoning for maybe increasing the time so students could at least come in, enjoy their breakfast. It seemed like, I mean, my teachers every day were like, oh my gosh, we felt like we were just here and now we're putting them on the bus. So just that little bit of time, and I think the length of the program, we designed it for 4 weeks, but really 5 weeks I think would have been ideal, because I think in some sense we were just, that was great that we had all of this information and all of this data on students, but like 1 more week, kids were just on the cusp of really, really solidifying those goals, and then the program ended. And they were thrilled to be there. They were, like I said, 2nd graders sitting on the rug listening to a story from a teacher at the end of the day when the buses are coming. That's unheard of during the summer, but that's where kids were. They were just soaking every single second of what was happening up. And I think parents were happy to see that there was something happening for their students, that there was breakfast provided. You didn't have to worry. You just got them on the bus. They were going to come home to you. So that made a huge difference, I think, for the participation rate that we had with our families.
I also think expanding the program is something that we could really look at. I mean, first of all, we had a waiting list, so the interest from teachers and parents to get that extra support was there. We also had, again, it was a new program, so, you know, we did what we thought was best at the time, but when you have a chance to reflect, we put students together in cohorts, like a K1, a 2-3, and a 4-5 group. And, you know, once you get them in there, even though they're in small groups, you realize that a kindergartner's skill level and a 1st grade skill level, even when they're both behind, are in 2 completely different places developmentally and academically. So the ability to have just kindergartners in a class, just 1st graders in a class, you know, we then can still have small classes, but offer more opportunity for more kids to participate at the same time as really being able to dig down and get specifically to the skills and strategies that that particular group of students needs, because you still needed to split your time up a little bit in each of those classes, because they both were lacking some skills, but they're very different skills that they're lacking. So I think increasing the program's size would enable, and splitting it into individual grade levels would allow us to invite more students and really be able to kind of drill down even deeper into the specific skill areas that they need to be working on.
And 2 other things that I think were crucial. I see Rosalia back there. We had a librarian that was in our building 2 days a week and was checking out books to kids. And again, like, it was like gold. Like, they were going home with all of these books. I mean, I think that was an extremely crucial part of the program. And Michelle Pava, who was the librarian, was great, not just about checking out books, but she held regular times with students, did a lot of work with them, worked with classroom teachers. So I think that was huge, that students always were walking home with a baggie of books plus books from the library. So I think our ultimate goal was to increase the amount of exposure students had to language and literacy. So that was a huge piece. The other piece that I'm going to say is that having reading teachers as part of this program that really could pick up and help classroom teachers get to those skills and strategies was a huge part of its success as well. Because they know how to like hone in on those little details. Classroom teachers sometimes are a little more global, which is what their supports are supposed to be. But having reading teachers there side by side with classroom teachers was a huge, huge benefit to this program.
Okay. Any questions?
I do.
No tuition, was there?
No,
It was free for the
it was free for parents.
So who financed it?
Came through the grant.
Grants.
Through our COVID grants?
Yes.
Okay. I was just curious because it said that we serviced 180 kids. So that was based on teacher feedback?
It was
Enrollment.
It was a number of students. who
Yeah,
were
so
enrolled.
like if a parent enrolled their child, was it suggested by the teacher?
Yeah.
So
So
I-
it was actually needs based. I guess we did.
Yes.
So those reports, that first page, not the one that talks about whether they gained or maintained or whatever, those were filled out by classroom
Okay.
teachers, and we set some criteria which we didn't include there for you, but we can certainly pass that along to you. We had specific criteria for all of those areas, what we were looking for in reading, in writing, and in math,
Yeah.
and whether or not those students, fit that criteria.
Right.
We were looking for students that were attending on a regular, so there were a variety of factors. Social, emotional needs, that wasn't necessarily on that cover sheet.
Yeah.
But there were a variety of factors that were put into place about who moved forward. But each building was able to recommend students based on a variety of criteria.
Okay, I was just curious if you could wave a magic wand, how many kids would have actually been able to be serviced if we could? I'm just curious.
Oh, at this point.
Was there a staff? Like, I mean,
We would want them all.
Yeah.
And, but we had.
Yeah, you had to-
The amount of funding that we had to make all of those pieces work. And
Yeah.
we really wanted to make sure that we were targeting those specific needs. So while we could have, and I guess that goes back to my earlier piece about summer school was much larger, but I don't know whether we were really targeting kids' specific needs. It was a lot of large group. It was a lot of, you were here for a couple hours, but there were 20 to 24 of them in a room. This was very, very targeted. And then those reports went back to the buildings. So then at least the classroom teacher that has that student in class has that information from summer school. So even now, as we're beginning to assess students and get a feel for their levels, at least in my building, I can't speak for all, we're seeing those students and we're like, okay, they were gone from summer school a little bit, but they maintained the level from where we ended, which is what we were hoping for. We didn't, there's always that summer slide, so we're not seeing that summer slide with these students that were able to participate, which
That's
is
great.
huge.
Yeah.
So I just have a question, but my question isn't for you guys, it's actually for Will. Is this a program that we can run with the grants we received this year that span the 3 years? Can we run this program again in a larger capacity?
Probably yes.
Okay.
We had $115,000 budgeted in the original grant applications in each of the 3 years. So depending on when money becomes available in the grant, if we needed greater capacity next year, we would go with a higher number.
Awesome.
Jody, if I
But
could just
I
jump.
think the only thing is, I think we want to make sure that the classes are kept small. So while we can
Absolutely.
increase the program, we still want to, I guess that's the piece. We want to increase the program and opportunities that more students can participate.
But keep
we
the
don't want to
ratio.
put 50 kids in a classroom at the same
No.
time. So I think it's.
Probably
I would-
So you need more funding.
I think it would be,
below board guides for a traditional class because these children are in need of additional.
Correct.
One thing, if I could just jump in from the funding standpoint too. So, I mean, we have this money for the next few years that we can utilize, but we've added a few new programs and structures in the district this year, and we're going to be assessing those things for their efficacy to say, hey, is this worth it? We've always had like a summer school program of some sort. It went away. I mean, can you tell me how many years? Like,
Oh, it's been
Ten-
a
10
long
years ago?
time. It's probably been over 15 years.
okay,
Yeah,
so it's
I
been
don't
gone for a little
remember it.
while. We haven't had it, but if it's something that we
long time.
feel is appropriate and an effective way to be able to reach kids, then that's even after this money is gone, we're going to have to find ways to reallocate resources to ensure that this happens. Honestly, we need to have an elementary summer program of some sort. I think that goes without saying. And I just, in my mind, I'm saying that now without, in light of all the other things that we have too, but I would have to think this would come to a pretty high level of priority for everybody in this room, but also just, people outside of this room as well. I'm just saying, even beyond this, if anybody's worried about the grant money drying up, I think that some things are going to be so important, you just have to find a way to fund them. So.
Fantastic.
Right.
any other questions? I'm just going to make a comment as far as presentations go. Thank you very much. I know it was a rather short notice, great turnaround, but not only did you present on it, but I love the survey concept and presenting what feedback. I'm huge on surveys, but they only go so far if you don't pay attention to them. And the knowledge that you guys seem to have gained from that and shared to us, like, thank you, because that's exactly what makes me feel great about this program and about you guys running it is, hey, we ran it, now let's look at and what we can improve on. I agree with probably Jody and everyone else here. Like, I'd love to see you guys kick it up to the next level. Not add 50 kids to class, but the way you would want to do it, the right way, and take that feedback. But I mean, that's amazing. I loved everything you presented tonight, and I really appreciate you doing it.
We appreciate the support from the district to really put this program in place. Like I said, way back when I taught summer school, and you know, and then when there were money issues in the past, you know, that was something that kind of was taken away, and we all see it, the elementary principals, the teachers at our levels, we see that there's a need for some of our students to really have that additional support in the summer, so they don't regress and lose the momentum that they had. It's just so crucial for them to have that in the summer, so that they're ready to go when they come back in September. So thank you, we
Right.
appreciate that.
No,
I
thank
would
you.
also like to see some enrichment programs in the summer for students that are looking to do some of that too, you know.
And I have to tell you, I mean, it was a long school year, I think, for everybody, the teachers. I think it really, like, to see Michelle Pava down in an elementary building, I think it kind of re-energized them to be part of this. It was something new. Kids were just so excited to be there that I think that it was interesting, even though it was a long school year, for them to be a part of this, I think was a great opportunity, and they worked very hard.
And Jan, just to speak to that piece, Stephanie Wright offered us a program through LEAP at the same time we were running it at Westell, and they really had opportunities for STEM-like activities, and so we were able to recommend other students for that program than the students that we felt needed summer school. So there were other
Ran the
opportunities as
gamut.
well.
Yeah, actually, at some point, we're going to have her in probably to speak and make sure we have her mention talk about that. And you'll definitely appreciate that. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Good?
Oh, sorry.
So did you have an issue with people stealing your mask, or is that just a really cool idea? I love that you got your name on it.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Both.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Another presentation on something else I love, food service. Oh,
Ms. Whalen, thank you very much for being here tonight.
yeah, thank you for coming.
Good evening. Just wanted to give a little update on the food service department and what's been happening in there. This summer, we did a grab-and-go program. We handed out over 47,000 meals at five different locations throughout the district. All these meals were fully reimbursed by the state and federal at no cost to any taxpayers or the district. Although we were really short-staffed, we managed it. We managed to pack them, load the buses, and hand them out to families, and we did it for 7 weeks. It was no small task by any means. Many days you saw me out there loading the buses with them and packing the boxes up with them and everything, because we had to get it done. We wanted to get it done, and we wanted to service families that way. So we found a way with the staff that we had, and we made it work. And I think we did a good job. I think a lot of families were very happy to have those meals. The new school here has begun, and it's so nice to see the kids in the cafeteria getting lunches, getting breakfast. Breakfast and lunch is free for the whole year for all students. And this is the federal and the states are reimbursing us fully for all those meals, no cost to any of the taxpayers. We're going to be operating under the Seamless Summer option, which is overseen by New York State Education Department Child Nutrition Program. And this also, operating under this program, gives us a higher reimbursement rate like we had last year. So that will come as good news to us. As a food service department, we aim to be self-supporting, a self-supporting entity. So it comes to good news as we navigate through this year with many, many obstacles that we're facing. A lot of challenges securing procurement, with products. A lot of stuff is just not available to us. And if it is available, the cost is a lot more than it was. I'm sure everyone sees it in the grocery stores too when they go to the grocery stores. So this higher reimbursement rate will help ease that burden a little bit for us, so we don't take such a big hit. And the biggest thing we did so far this year is a lot of the elementary schools are eating the classroom, so instead of giving a kid a styrofoam tray every day to throw in the garbage, to go in the landfill, which the cost of them is quite high, if you can even get them, we decided to go to reusable lunch trays that close. So they're delivered to the classrooms, and they're washable, microwavable, fully safe for the kids. So that was a big thing we did. We kind of weighed the difference between spend the money now or spend the money throughout the year, and in the long run, we'll come way ahead with not spending the money on all the styrofoam that we would need to feed the kids in the classroom. And so far, they seem to be working very well. I applied for a grant at the end of last year for the No Kid Hungry grant, and I was awarded the money. So with the money, we purchased insulated bags, and all summer we used them to keep the milk cold on the buses, handing out the meals. And now we use them to put the hot meals into to lug to the classroom, so the meal is hot when the kids get it and not cold. You know, last year it was a big obstacle, but we kind of did what we had to do to survive last year. So now that we have a system down and we know what we want to do, we, made a plan. And let's give these kids hot meals that they deserve and that they want. So that's what we decided to purchase those. Then we also got carts with the grant to help lug the bags up and down to the classrooms. And then we got sealers where we could, put our fresh fruit in and seal the bag. Because as you know, everything has to be sealed now, so nobody's touching, cross-contamination. So that was a huge grant that we got, is helping us out quite a bit with classroom feeding. I also am waiting on notice on a bunch of grants I wrote at the end of school year last year for some new equipment in the kitchens. A lot of our kitchens are fairly old, fairly outdated, so there was a big federal grant out there. So I sat down and wrote a bunch of grants with some help from some colleagues, and we're waiting on that. Hopefully we can get some of that. My goal in the next couple of years is to replace a lot of outdated equipment in our kitchens, through grants and district funding. And then finally, like most, we're facing great shortage of staff in all areas of food service. I've been at all of our buildings this year. Some people have seen me serve on the serving line because we needed someone to do that, or delivered meals to the classroom because nobody was there to do it. It's just what we do. We all, chip in, do it together. My staff is really pulling together, doing a lot of things above and beyond their job description and not complaining about it, because in the end, we're here to feed the kids, and that's what we want to do. We want the kids to come, get healthy, nutritious meals every day. And in the long run, that's it. Any questions?
Just a comment, thank you so much for taking the time to write all of those grants. I know it's not easy, and I know when you're short-staffed how difficult it is, so thank you for feeding our babies.
Thank you.
Can I just, real quick, just say too, those you're not kidding, those are the real deal. I saw those over Clinton Street. I saw those things close up. I mean, there's nothing worse than seeing a kid walking and all of a sudden that's it, and it's gone.
They drop it and it's gone. Yeah, everything's all over. And plus it's closed, so when they're walking from the cafeteria to their classroom, it's not, the air is not getting to their food or whatever else is out there. So, it's sanitation too, we want to be sure.
You honestly, you and your department have been grinding this entire time, so you really have been firing on all cylinders. And I guess echo what Molly just said, but you really have been, honestly. Your folks have stepped up. You've fed people consistently throughout the entire pandemic, so just appreciate all that you've done for that. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just going to piggyback on that type of mentality. Oh yeah, you can sit down while I'm talking, but that type of mentality in this district, the whole thinking of ways to spend a little more now, but we're saving a lot, and we're also not dumping those trays in the landfill. I mean, I think I told you, I thought I had 3 or 4 of those at home. We were in the meeting and I heard about those. My wife ordered the exact same ones off of Amazon because the kids love them so much. I thought we stole them from school. I was telling Matt and Diane that I think we stole a bunch of them. And I went home and I called my wife. I went home and she's like, no, I ordered them because the kids love them so much. On weekends now, she has to serve lunch in those containers to the kids. So, they love it that much, so thank you. And then the grant writing, I mean, feel free to, if you get a grant information, don't wait for a board meeting. Feel free to email us and tell us about it. That's super exciting. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sue.
Any other? And thank you everyone for presenting tonight and your
Yes,
talk
thanks
here.
everybody for being here.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Great presentations. We'll move on now to public comment. This is public comment on the agenda. So the public comment section is a time set aside for the community to speak directly to the Board of Education. You should note that the first public comment section is only for items related to agenda items. Each speaker is given 3 minutes with the total allotted time to last no more than 30 minutes. When called, please step up to the podium, give us your name. Please be respectful in your comments and do not divulge any personal or confidential information. For example, names, specific situations, etc., etc. The information shared will be carefully considered and the appropriate person will contact you. If you'd like to be contacted, please leave your information with the district clerk. Thank you. Do we have anyone who wants to speak on an agenda item? Okay. Thank you. We'll do the public comment section on non-agenda items shortly. Move on to number 4, personnel. I believe it's personnel 4A. I believe it's create a certified position, so we do it in its own. Okay. So I'd like to have a motion for 4A, please.
I'll make a motion.
Diane, I'd like to have a second. Jody, we'd like to have any conversation on this. It looks like we're creating a 1.0 elementary. Everyone good? All in favor? Aye. Anyone against? Pass 7-0. Thank you. And we have, let's see, we got 4B. Can I have a motion to move on 4B through, looks like we have some certified appointments, some certified tenure appointments. Well, let's do 4B and 4C. May I have a motion to move on? 4B, 4C.
And you can do D, too.
D? Okay, let's move on the remainder of 4B, C, and D. Liz? May I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Pete, any conversation, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against?
Aye. Nay.
Nay?
Yeah.
So we'll do 6-1. Thank you. Number 5. Personnel, we're creating a classified position, so we would do that in and of itself.
I'll move.
Thumbs up. Jan, you'd like to make that motion? May I have a second?
I'll second.
Molly, thank you. Any discussion? Anyone have anything to talk about? Good. Okay. Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Approved 7-1. Appreciate that. So we've got 5B. I'd like to have a motion to move on 5B through
Figure that out, all the way to 6, the end of 6.
we can move all the way through the end of 6, which would be,
G.
say that again, Diane?
G, the coaches.
You know what? You're going to hate me. G or B?
G.
G.
G as in
Through
great.
6G. May I have that motion?
I'll make it.
Diane, may I have a second? And I'll give you time to keep looking as we do discussion if I have a second.
I'll second.
Pete? Good. You guys want to keep looking through and let me know when you're ready, if you got any discussion? Looks like we got some good stuff going on in here. Coordinators, mentors, preferred building substitutes,
I have a
coaches,
question.
community education. Yes, Jody?
I have a question on 6B.
6B. Oh, and 6B would be on page 11, right?
I don't know, I'm looking at it on the computer.
Oh, okay. I got it, it's page 11.
Okay. My question on 6B is, what is the anticipated completion date of the mentor course?
Dr. Cervoni, can you speak to that a little bit?
The completion of the program?
Yes, it says that some of the mentors that are listed here are pending completion of mentor course. So I'm looking for the anticipated completion date of that mentor course.
That would depend. We have an online process that they can take the mentor courses. Some have. I think we just, with the amount of new hires, we have solicited to see if new teachers want to become mentors. And then anyone interested in approval will have to complete the course in order to serve as a mentor.
And how long does the course typically take?
It only takes like a couple of hours.
Okay, so it's not something that's drawn out over like 12 weeks or something like that?
It could be an in-person course, but I think between Ron Dovo and Ross, I think they've created, their pieces that you have to view and then respond and things.
It's for the teachers, not the mentees.
Right, it's for
Yeah, for mentors.
Wants to be a mentor, then, then obviously they're able to be a mentor.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Pass 7-0. Next one, we can move on 7. It looks like we probably move on all reports. May I have a motion to move on all of reports?
I'll move.
Liz?
I'll second.
Pete will give me a second. And if you guys have any discussion, or if we want to look through real quick, I see, looks like maybe the requirements are changing for the PIG class a little bit. I think that's kind of interesting. I'm glad we're able to, help out
Yeah,
with.
they're basically kind of going back to very close to what they were before pre-pandemic. So
Okay.
there's still the opportunity for virtual, like a viewing and online, like viewing a board meeting, kind of like somebody could be watching tonight too, just because not all school districts are fully back, and it's not always as easy to access some. But essentially, kids are participating in service hours, and so
Excellent.
as long as they're following, COVID safety protocols.
Excellent. So all of 7 takes us to. We got a motion, discussion, no other discussion? Everyone good? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? And I'm 7-0. And either I blew right past 8. There we go. Okay. May I have a motion to, looks like, oh, okay, so I missed 8. I apologize, guys. I did 7. The participation in government is under 8. So may I have a motion to,
Staple.
yeah, sorry. I don't have a fancy computer like
Yes, you do.
Jody.
You have one.
I don't have a fancy computer with me like Jody. So if we, I'll make a motion to move on 8.
I'll make a
Anyone?
I'll make
motion.
Diane, I'll get a second. Second
I'll
from
second,
Molly?
sure.
Thank you, Molly. Any discussion on that and refer back to what I said about PIG?
Just a couple
Question?
things.
Okay, Jan, you first.
On the crossing guards, how many do we have?
I want to say, we have them for like the elementary buildings, basically. I would say there's probably about 12. I don't know off the top of my head. So I have that information for you, Jan. Like I have a breakdown.
That's all right. We share that with the town, correct?
Yes, yeah, we split it
I think I
50-50.
just actually looked up this information.
Might only be 10.
Was it, how many elementary schools do we have?
We've got 5 elementary
5
schools.
elementary
A couple
schools?
yeah, we also help
Is
out with
it-
Queen of Heaven. And,
I think it was like 7 or 8 crossing guards.
well, West Middle, East Middle.
East Middle definitely has one.
Yeah,
Okay.
there were 2
Or
there at
2.
one point. And
Yeah,
there's
there's
2
one
over
out.
at Westell, Allendale, just because of the
Are
volume.
we were at 2 at Winchester. Are we 1 or 2 here now?
I think we're still just at 1.
1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize. Off the top of my
It looks
head, I
like
can't
there's
remember.
8 if you look at the contract that's in your
Yeah.
executive,
looking at there.
on your computer.
On the computer?
Yeah,
The fancy computer?
the fancy computer
Fancy
shows
computer?
that there's 8.
We can find out exactly.
Well, no,
She says it
I
looks
just
like
want
there's
to
8.
comment, I'm glad we're keeping that because, kids dart out awfully fast and.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's
also
important.
Just directing the
Yeah,
parents
and these
some
crossing
kind
guards
of
are
parents. And
angels in
How
disguise.
much do we pay? You don't know the proportion that we pay with the town.
I can tell you ballpark, it comes out to total for their total salary, somewhere in the $60,000 range, so we
Yeah.
pay about half that for the year.
For all of it, yeah, I think it's a good expenditure.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Kind of
absolutely.
old-fashioned, but a good thing.
Okay, I'm not going deaf.
Excellent. No.
I can't hear over here.
Oh,
I
sorry.
was asking her if I was,
We're just having a hard time hearing with the air
but we're not going to turn
conditioning.
the air off because,
Nicole was on it, though. I saw her. She jumped up there. She was going to help out.
no.
Any other comment on the,
I have a
anything?
question on 8G.
8G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and that would be on page 17 for those of us on paper. The NISBA voting delegate and alternate,
Yep.
we have to choose that today.
Yeah, so we can't approve it if we don't choose it.
Yeah.
You know what? Thank God I've got 6 people getting my back today. I appreciate that.
That conference has become virtual now. They've
Yeah.
canceled the in-house one in New York.
Okay. And this would be the appropriate time to choose it, right, Nicole?
Maybe October.
Choose our delegate? Okay, great. And the alternate. We want to, how do we want to do it? We want to see if anyone wants to volunteer to be the delegate and see if there's more than one? And then we do some sort of arm wrestling?
Yeah.
Is anyone interested in being the delegate?
I'm interested, but I know Jan as well. We're both,
No, that's fine. Go ahead. You
Well-
enjoy it. This is the state delegate.
right, yeah, so,
This isn't the legislative committee. This is different.
right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you will get some, a lot of information ahead of time.
Mm-hmm,
We will discuss our opinion on it and then you vote.
yeah. If you don't mind, Jan.
That'd be great.
No, it'd be
Molly.
great.
Yeah.
Anyone else interested, or do we go with Molly with no tug of war?
It's an interesting thing.
Molly with Jan as
Oh,
the
we do need an
alternate?
alternate.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do
we
need
need
an
an
alternate, so we're good on Molly as being the person we alternate.
You will have to be on a virtual, probably 3 or 4 hour
Yeah.
affair.
Did you
because
do all
it's
the
on a Saturday, though.
resolutions?
You've done
I was
it.
just
Thank
saying,
goodness.
It's not during the, yeah, it's
You've done it, I think, yeah.
Anyone looking to be an alternate? I know, I mean, Pete sounded like he was, it's chomping at the bit, right?
That's what it sounds like?
Champing at the bit?
spelled
You can
champing.
tell by the look on
Pronounced
your
chomping.
face.
I cannot commit to another 3 to 4 hour
Yeah.
evening.
I mean, I will more than
I thought
happily
you would be
volunteer
interested,
if
no?
no one else is
No,
interested,
go
but
ahead. Liz, why don't you do it? It's-
Okay, I'll do it then.
Yeah,
I'll be
because
the
it might,
alternate.
it might be during the day. It depends on when they vote.
Oh, I thought
It'll
they
be on
usually,
the vote
usually
at
it's
the-
Saturday morning, isn't
It'll
it?
be a
Yes,
Saturday
usually
morning
Saturday
in
mornings.
October.
Yeah.
They give you a big legislative packet, though. It's fascinating, all the different, like, the
It is.
rationale
Oh,
behind
sure.
everything, and
I have a
Yeah, I'm
feeling
interested in all
Molly's
of
that.
not
Sounds
gonna
right
miss this. So the alternate is probably not like,
Call Molly.
you know.
I think you girls would really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
it's a commitment of about 3 hours, isn't it,
Yeah.
Diane?
Yeah, and then you guys can
yeah.
no longer travel together.
Well, they don't.
So, it's the alternate, we gotta keep you safe from the, no,
president, vice
Oh,
president
my
thing. Yeah.
gosh, okay.
never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll leave the humor to other people. So, we're gonna go with Molly as the, number 1, and then Liz as the alternate. Great. Any other conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Pete, you good? Okay, 7-0. 9, financial reports. I don't really have to move on those, I just like to read the headings. Thank you for shaking your head no, Nicole.
Did we approve 8? Oh, I'm
All of
H?
8?
Yes, we went all of 8.
All
Yeah,
of
I
8.
just questioned G.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Everything good with that? Okay.
Okay. Just one other question on the natural gas. Is it the same person as, same company as last year?
I think so.
You don't know?
Well,
New Wave
apologies,
Energy.
the natural gas contract, is it the same
New Wave
as
Energy.
last year, or?
Our advisor is the same.
Okay,
The winner of the bid is actually the same as well.
all right.
But
Okay.
the bid with multiple.
She's got to get closer to
Great.
the mic.
Thank you so much. And we'll go on to public comment next, but I just wanted to point out to the board again with the agenda, if you guys notice, as we're working through from the time the agenda's being worked on till the time of the meeting, if there is a change made, we're made aware of it so we can double check things. Like, I know the gas one didn't come through when we were hoping, for, like, it just took a little extra time, so keep an eye on that stuff. It really, and again, I want to shout out, I appreciate you guys making that happen for us, so we're not caught off guard on anything. Thank you very much. Next would be public comments.
We didn't vote on
No,
that.
Oh, we didn't
Yeah, we
vote?
didn't vote on
We
that.
didn't
Yeah.
vote.
What did I miss?
You didn't vote.
The financial
On 8.
reports.
Yeah, I
On
thought-
9.
9-8.
no, we don't have to vote
We
on
don't
that.
have to vote on
Oh,
financial.
okay.
Yeah, I just like to read the category,
Yeah.
so I know I'm not skipping anything. Public comments, this is 10. I'll read my thing again. Do I need to read it again?
I think, does everybody remember what we said last time?
Remember what I said last time?
Forget the agenda items part.
Yeah, so this will be public comment on anything. I say anything is a worldly thing, but, you know, there's certain things, if you want to talk about nationally or something, we can always talk later too. I have Danielle? Would you like to come up first?
Can my father go first?
Is your father Robert? Yep. Yeah, of course you can. Robert, please come on up. Oh, yeah.
Good evening. So,
You have to state your name and your information before you speak.
right. My name is Robert Parsons. I'm speaking here tonight because I have a 6-year-old granddaughter in first grade, and I'm concerned primarily now about mask policy. So you may understand my standing on this issue. I'm a product of the West Seneca school system and the SUNY University system. I have 30 years experience of scientific research in the field of molecular immunology. Although not a primary investigator, I can speak knowledgeably concerning the science of the subject and the interpretation of the same. I am all about the science. But for you, however, who told the government line, Dr. Fauci, and this is in print, stated, the typical mask is not really effective in keeping out virus, which is small enough to pass through the material. Additionally, the CDC also published, our systematic review found no significant effect of face masks on the transmission of virus. You have already been informed as to the threat of COVID to children, that the flu is more deadly, that a child is more likely to be struck by lightning than die of COVID. Yet you haven't mandated masks for the flu, and I certainly don't see you installing lightning rods outside of classrooms. Authoritative research represented here in 47 studies, all PubMed listed, show masks are not only ineffective, but like the inane plastic barriers which you wasted taxpayer monies on, I'm sure have been since removed, are actually harmful. And there are 32 listed that speak to the negative impact of mask use. Issues such as reducing oxygen levels by 20%, which can have lifelong negative effect on your children. Headaches, yeast infections, gum disease, mouth fungus, acne, bacterial and fungal infections, disfiguration of children by air protrusion issues, and negative impacts on a child's emotional and intellectual development. Also reported, masks become useless after about 20 minutes of wearing due to moisture in your breath. The moisture can become droplets that the viruses travel on, and that actually facilitates virus transmission. So I ask, are you providing brand new masks every 20 minutes for every child that you're forcing to wear one? To the board and all educators, please recognize, please follow the science. To the parents in attendance and watching online, please do not surrender this fight. The cause is just and our battle is righteous. Finally, I speak to the board as a grandfather, a veteran, an American with all the rights that infers. What you are doing is not only not legal, but it is harmful to the children. And it doesn't take Nostradamus to recognize that should any harm befall a single child in the system, there will be lawsuits, class action lawsuits from Main Street to Albany before you can shake a stick. And finally, in that we are still a majority Christian country, I feel it's appropriate to remind you, it is written, Matthew 18:6, it would be better that a millstone be hung around your neck and you be thrown into the sea should you harm one of his little ones. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, now you. Appreciate it.
Pretty good height. My name is Danielle Tomaszewski, and let me state that I am here to find out what it will take for our Superintendent, Board of Education, and all the parents to stand up to the state and the Department of Health to give us the freedom to make health and medical choices for our children. First, I will address the Superintendent and Board of Education and ask them what it will take for them to fight for our children. Most parents think the answer is to pull our kids from school because each student gets you money from the state. And everyone believes that unless it hurts your purse strings, you won't take notice. Now, I love Allendale, and I believe my child is and will get a great education both academically and socially if the masks are removed. I want us all to take a moment and think of a student's day. Go to greet your teacher without seeing a smile. Sit and laugh into a mask with your friends. Run around in gym class for 30 minutes breathing through the mask. Sing in music class while licking the inside of your mask. And eat your meal only to have food particles end up in your mask for the rest of the day. Now go home after little to no human connection and wonder why mental health issues and suicides are skyrocketing. But more on that shortly. The other option, a lawsuit. You would have to respond to those. While you worry about one coming against you if a kid gets COVID, which would be nearly impossible to prove that they caught it at school unless they don't go anywhere else. Doubtful. What you should be concerned with is the lawsuit from the side effects and health implications, both mental and physical, the kids will get from being forced to wear the disgusting face diapers. Both types of lawsuits could easily be avoided with parent choice or maybe even a consent form. But how sad is it all that money and lawsuits are all you will respond to? Don't you feel slightly ashamed of yourselves? I know that many in the community that you supposedly serve are sure disappointed. Your COVID response has earned a failing grade. Right now, you're using the COVID relief money to hire social workers, mental health workers, and additional guidance counselors. However, you are the ones who caused them needing to be hired. With your remote start to last year and the fear-mongering to use masks, and now the completely unjustified quarantines. But if you had followed the true science and stood up for the kids from the beginning, you wouldn't need them. The money should have been used to actually fight for something better for the schools, teachers, and children you claim to represent. Sadly, it's us parents who have to fight, have to put up our time and money to have the freedom to choose what is best for our children. Parents, I speak to you now, including the parents on the Board of Education Superintendent. Please stop and think for a second. We're divided, whether on masks or vaccines, but that's not what it's truly about. It's about allowing all of us as parents to make the right and best decision for our kids and their education. You may not think it's your fight because you don't mind, or maybe you even support the masks and vaccines. But what if it was reversed? What if the government was telling you you couldn't put a mask on or get the vaccine for yourself or your children? You would be up in arms and fighting as we are for parent choice. You have to know that no one who wants to unmask the kids is saying to take them all away. We just want all of us to be able to make the medical choice for our children. We need to unite and fix this now because there will come a day that you will want to fight for something and it may be too late. So, Superintendent, Board of Education, administrators, teachers, and parents, can we all be together in this cause? Utilize your community. Let us stand together against the state and DOH's policies, not laws. We need to support each other because together we can make a difference for all our children. Thank you.
Thank you. I know. Thank you for speaking. We have anyone else interested that I don't have on my list? I have a couple of arms coming up. Let me start with Jen, and then we'll move on to you next. Terry.
Hi, my name is Jen. I live at 47 Manhasset Street. I don't have a big speech like she did, but or he did, but I have specific questions in regards to the so-called mask and quarantine. My daughter is a sixth grader at West Middle, does not get required mask breaks at all. And per Erie County Department of Health, it says a mask break every hour. My daughter's classes are only 40 minutes. There should be a mask break every class that your child goes to, because what if, there's now her teachers don't allow it. There's no allowance for mask breaks. Second, it's come to our attention at West Middle, and I talked to the principal. They canceled West Fest, and my daughter's upset, as well as all their kids. But I want to know how the district is handling dances. Education is important, but social events are very crucial for kids, and I want to know how the district is handling their dances for the schools. Are they going to break them up, or what is going on? Secondly, buses. It is stated by Erie County Department of Health that the schools should be loaded from back to front. I have seen my daughter get onto the bus, and she sits front row, so she's getting passed by all the kids that are sitting on the bus. And that's not what from what I understand, the Erie County Department of Health is. Second, another question is with quarantine. Two questions about quarantine is does the quarantine have to wait until the Department of Health has to reach your parent, because Erie County Department of Health is behind. So if a student is quarantined, they don't get a call for 3 days from Erie County Department of Health. Is that included, or do they have to wait until the Erie County Department of Health contact them? Second question is, does the quarantines are for the excuses? Are they excused or unexcused? Let me see here. The last question is COVID symptoms. They have listed so many different lists of what the symptoms are COVID. Headaches, nausea, toe pain, or whatever. There is so many different symptoms that a child can have to show symptoms. Kids get sick. Kids get headaches. What is the school going to do instead of saying, oh, child, you have a stomach ache, oh, you have to go get a COVID test? What is the school going to be doing to allow these kids to go back to school, the classroom, when they have a headache, just a measly headache, that because they're breathing in the masks, they're getting a headache? Or my daughter, God forbid, a student has menstrual period pain. They get a headache or a stomach ache, and they go to the nurse. The nurse tells them that they have to go home because it is a COVID symptom. How is that going to help get these kids to stay in school when they are feeling different elements, but it's not COVID related at all? So those are my questions.
Okay. I wrote them all down, and I'd be happy to talk with you, but some of these things I can actually address in kind of a larger communication.
Can you send it out to everybody?
That's what I'm saying, a larger
Okay.
communication. So, thanks, John.
Thank you very much. Yes, please.
My name is Erin Popek. My address is 4150 Clinton Street. I sent the whole board an email this week, last year, pretty much every day. So thank you for taking time to get back to me. In this case, I wanted to talk about my son, who was the one not on the bus, who was said to have been exposed, that was mentioned earlier.
I was going to interrupt really quick. I know it's your son and saying it, just be careful with mentioning
No
specific
names.
people. Well, yeah, I know, yeah. I don't know that I was referring to, earlier I wasn't speaking of your son specifically.
yes.
But
It
since
probably
it's your
happened
son.
to several children anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, on Tuesday of last week, the 14th, I received a phone call. And I don't know who it was. It was someone from the school. It was a school number. And she said, I need to come to the school. I need to pick up my child. He's been exposed. Just come get him right now. And I said, oh my goodness, what's going on? Where can I get him? Is he already isolated? And then I started to think, I said, hey, wait a minute. Where was my son exposed to COVID? Oh, we can't really say that. I said, well, was it on the bus? Because he's supposed to ride the bus. I know several children are currently quarantined because of bus exposure. Was he a bus exposure? Because he didn't ride the bus. It was late. I drove him. She said, oh, yes, yeah, it was a bus exposure. She said, let me get back to you. If you don't hear from me, disregard. Never mind. Don't come pick up your kid. Everything's fine. So later that day, I called the principal at the child's school, and I wanted to clear the air, just make sure, you know, he came home as usual, but can he go back to school tomorrow, etc. I wasn't called back. I went about my day as usual the next day. I was called again by the school nurse. School nurse said, you need to come pick your kid up right now. I said, oh yes, I talked to them yesterday. This wasn't supposed, you know, I reiterated what I already said. And she said, it doesn't matter, you come get your kid right now. I said, no, but I had this conversation. He wasn't exposed, he wasn't on the bus. I don't know where he was exposed, was my response, you know, the response I received. And she told me she didn't have time. She has several phone calls to make. And the end result was, your kid's in isolation now. He'll be there till you get here. So I said, okay, I'm on my way, obviously. Also, I want to speak to the principal when I arrive at the school. So I came to the school, my husband and I, we both came, and we're greeted at the door by the administrative assistant. And, you know, we stated our reason, okay, we'll bring the kid. And I said, I also want to speak to the principal. Well, she's too busy to deal with you right now. I said, no, I need to speak to the principal. My son wasn't exposed. He wasn't on the bus, you know, he needs to be in school. This is a kid who needs his education. He's not, you know, he's not my honor student. I have an honor student. This kid is not my honor student. He needs to be in school. Anyway, we were told no. We were told that we seemed threatening. Should I get the officer? I said, yes, please get the officer. I'll explain the situation to him. He will understand. Of course, she didn't call the officer, you know. We didn't do anything wrong.
I just want to say you're at about 4 minutes now. So.
Oh, I'm really sorry, but this cost me 48 hours, and I had to call off work twice. So I apologize that I'm wasting your time.
It's not wasted time.
But this
we
is
just
my
have a
situation.
3-minute policy.
Yeah.
I just been kind of letting people go a little bit, but we just, I mean, obviously want to hear your story, but
Okay.
You did, yeah.
Well, fast forward, but those are serious situations. We're being told that the principal's too busy for us. We're being told that even though you were told, you know, your son wasn't exposed, he still needs to leave now. And like I said, it cost me 48 hours and calling off work twice to get my kid back into school after I knew he wasn't exposed. His principal knew he wasn't exposed. His principal said to me, yes, I helped your son out of the car that morning that he was exposed because I drove him. She helps with bus duty. She helped him out of the car. Everyone knew he wasn't exposed. So why in the world it took me 2 days to put him back into school? So anyways, eventually I got in touch with you. You told me to call the health department. I called the health department. I don't know how I got through to a person, but I did. And they told me that the health department told me that the school is the one who gives the list. The school is the one that needs to release my child to the health department. It wasn't anything I could do. It was what the school needed to do all along. So anyways, the next day when we got the email stating that the school has absolutely nothing to do with anyone placed into quarantine, I was going to read that line, but I'm sure everybody knows what it says, and I'm apparently short on time. So that was kind of disturbing. The school's not being very transparent there. What it says is true, but it's not specific enough. Oh.
would you like to, I mean, we'll finish up the meeting. Would you like to just, I mean, has the problem been resolved yet? Your child's back in school, I believe, right?
The problem has been resolved in that he's back in school.
Okay, so.
But the issue has not been resolved in that we still don't know who's on buses, as
Right.
was discussed
And
earlier.
we can't resolve it here in a public meeting right now, Ms. Popek. I'd be happy to talk to you about this separately. It's just,
There's several other issues going along with this, and I guess the
So
point of why I'm speaking today is not because of my one child in my one instance. We're looking for schools to take accountability,
Right.
take responsibility, know what's going on. If my child's in your care, I expect you to know where my child is. I mean, what if the bus crashes? Do you spend, how much time do you spend looking for a kid who's not on the bus, whose name was on the list?
Right.
I mean,
So
that's
well,
gotta-
what I'm asking is when we finish up here, can you stick around for a few minutes? And go, you seem to have a pretty good list. We are working on the bus thing, but do you mind sticking around for a few minutes and catching up with Matt or myself or the board or?
Sure, how about 2 more points short?
I really gotta, then what I do is I have every other parent that I've cut off this whole time. I'm horrible at this, but I can reiterate your public points for you at the next meeting, or I can
Okay.
invite you back.
I can always come back, I guess.
You're more than welcome.
I have several other things from other people as well
Okay.
that they asked
You
me to
can
bring up.
also email us, Erin. You
Oh,
can
yeah, I
also
email.
Yeah.
everybody.
Is that the same as actually standing in front of you? Because
Yeah.
I've sent several emails.
I
as you guys
can even
know.
give you my phone number and meet you for coffee too. I have no issues with that. I love talking, so I just don't want to, either I gotta set precedent with the 3 minutes for everybody, or we gotta pick a different time frame,
Okay.
and then I got a mob of people ready to kill me. You didn't let me speak, you let her speak, but you seem to have some pretty good comments and ideas, so
Thank
I'm just
you.
looking for an alternate. But if you can catch me after the meeting, we can figure something out.
Sure, I'll stay after.
It won't be too hot, I promise.
Okay.
The room we'll turn the air conditioning back on.
Yeah, it is pretty warm in this particular
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
thank you. We will move on to, again, I appreciate everybody coming out to talk, and maybe as a board, we could sit down and talk about the 3-minute thing or the different idea. I know we had other questions about the public comment, so maybe we can make that a discussion topic and figure out how we're gonna handle all that stuff. Whether we get a timer so people, I know people are nervous up there too, so sometimes it's hard to tell when 3 minutes is, or, email us ideas ahead of time. So for now, we'll move on to number 11, Board of Education discussion. Do any members have anything that they want to bring to discuss? Jan?
Well, just quickly, I don't know if I'm on or not, but I went to the Academy induction last Wednesday at East Senior. It was very nice, and you were there, and Matt, and Mr. Merkel, and it was very interesting, and great kids. Also, this Thursday morning, I'm going to do a webinar with Terrace Beach for 2 hours on labor and employment. And then don't forget to go to all the home football games, folks.
Thank you. After the webinar, if there's anything interesting, feel free to share it with us.
It's a 2-hour.
I know there was a webinar this week that I'm sure some great stuff came from it. I believe Diane, Liz, Pete, I saw a few board members signed up to attend it, so let us know about that. Pete, anything from you?
No, I'm
Good.
good.
Liz? Molly?
I just had a comment. It does take a lot of guts to come here and, speak on behalf of your child. So I think it is really important that we do follow the 3-minute rule, because what we do for one, we have to do for everyone. But I think it's important that we follow up
Yes.
with Mrs. Popek after this.
Absolutely.
And also, I just, as a board member and a mom in the district, I'm just wondering if we can have better communication as far as what is being canceled in our district. Like, this was the first time that I've heard that West Fest was canceled at West Middle.
Yeah, and I will correct,
Yeah, okay, but
West Fest was he's postponing it till the spring.
okay, was that for just West Middle parents, or did that go out to the entire district?
I'm a West Middle parent, so I don't know.
See, I'm not a West Middle parent, but I'm a board member, and I'd like to know when those things are happening. So if we could just,
Yeah, I think we did.
did we get it as a board member? I apologize.
Yeah,
September 20th.
I apologize.
So I think we're automatically included in,
We
like,
get
when stuff like that goes out. The problem is, we have so many different communications.
Okay.
The West Fest was like part of an overall.
When did that go out, Jody?
8 a.m. on yesterday morning.
Yeah,
Okay.
Came
so-
directly from West Middle School.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe, again, I want to reiterate, because everyone knows West Fest is literally one of the best fests around. It's great, and Dave's beside himself on this, but it is postponed. They will be shooting for the spring on that. You know, he puts his heart and soul, the whole school puts their heart and soul into that thing, so.
Yes, I know. I'm just a little bit sensitive to things being canceled.
Correct.
You know, we're opening up our schools, and I think it's really important that as a board, we support any functions that can happen, and that we offer our support to make sure that they do. Just my statement.
Thank you. Jody?
I'm just going to bring up something that happened over the summer and say thank you to one of our local Boy Scout troops. Diane and I actually had the opportunity to visit with Boy Scout Troop 616 over the summer. They're based here out of West Seneca. They actually invited us in. My son was formerly a member of the troop, so that's how we got the contact information. But one of their merit badges that they had to earn this summer involved government meetings. So they watched one of our board meetings, and then Diane and I went in. I asked Diane to come because I was a little nervous about going and talking to them all by myself, so I begged Diane to go with me. And we went in and we taught the youth who actually go to school in our school district all about how our Board of Education runs. So I just want to thank them for having us out and choosing us as their government agency for who they wanted to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good, cool to
Yeah,
hear.
and that was a great experience because the children, the boys, had to watch our board meeting and then ask us questions, and they asked us questions for like 45 minutes. I mean, they were really involved with it, and, you know, why does this work, and why do you do this? And so it was, and these boys are, what, 12, 13?
So Boy Scouts is 5th grade up till Eagle
Okay,
Scout.
yeah.
So most of the boys we had, I happen to know, were 8th and 9th graders, 10th graders in our districts.
Yeah, so it was really great exposure, and the parents were there, and they got to meet us also, so that was great.
It was a great public service opportunity.
Yes, yeah. I went to, there was an afternoon program by Harris Beach. They talked about special ed, and I'll share that with anybody that wants to see it. It was, you know, kind of, you know, this is the basic thing you should know about special ed as a board member, and then also for some of you that are too young for this, but retirement, you know, how to, you know, navigate through all of that. And then exciting for me, because I'm a retired chemistry teacher, went to the program where met with Young and Wright to talk about the science renovations that are going to happen in 23.
Yeah.
In 23. So so that's exciting. I have the pictures if anybody wants to see them. They're completely renovating east and west for the science room. So really exciting stuff is coming from that. So that's all in the capital improvement.
Excellent. And this, you guys, we emailed out to the board, and we've got a printed copy here. Diane was nice enough to retype my notes. And Diane, I want to thank you. That
Oh, no
much more.
I'm a little more organized than
Much more organized than my notes. I had a lot of abbreviations and stuff.
Yeah.
If anyone has any issues or looking to change the topics and the presenters that we sent out, has anyone had a chance to look at them? The email, either I sent out or Diane put out. Again, Nicole, is this the case where we have to adopt this, or can we just use it as a living document? And that's our plan? Okay. So again, feel free to reach out if you see something on there you'd like added or changed. I would like to add some other stuff on here, but I think this is a good working calendar right now for the topics and the presenters. I do again want to thank everyone from today, 9/21. We kind of just invited them last week. Short notice, but I was kind of hoping to get school rolling, and I know we had that little change in the meeting schedule, which kind of goofed things up, but they all came together and they got their presentations done wonderfully. So thank you guys for that. Again, go through the calendar, send any notes or ideas. Diane and I worked on taking what you guys had asked for, different types of presentations and stuff, and kind of put it together as a calendar that fits.
Yeah, we also talked about each month, like we did couple years ago, to have a different school come in. And to have the principal come in, maybe honor a couple people, tell you what's new and different in their school, so each month to showcase a different school. So we're looking to do that too again.
And one idea I had for it, because we've got, this sounds horrible. Obviously, we want to get Winchester Potters in while we're still in this room, invite them so they don't have far to travel. But I was thinking we have a certain amount of board meetings / work sessions. If we did the elementary schools maybe during the board meetings, and then the middle and high schools can come more towards the work sessions, because we don't have enough board meetings to make each board meeting specific for a school. So kind of one idea I had. Anyone have any other different ideas? Again, email me, email Diane, and we can come up with the way we want to do it. But we do want to get the ball rolling on that so we can invite a school to the next meeting. My guess would be, again, homeschool while we're here at Winchester Potters. And that's where we're at with that. Any other discussion on anything?
Can we discuss one date that's on here?
Maybe.
Because of the issue that we're having with transportation and the tracking of students and all of that, is it possible that we can move transportation updates up to the 10 and 12, the next meeting, and actually have an update on where we sit on that?
So we can get that anytime. I was looking at this presentation on the entire department, and I was kind of more concerned with them getting all the glitch, like, spend your time fixing the problems now and work on it before you take the time to come present. That was my theory on
They
it.
don't need to present. I would just like to hear
Yeah, we can get that anytime. We can
the
get an
options
update.
sooner rather than
Yeah.
later.
Like, I'm assuming as soon as Matt gets his demo, he's gonna reach out to us and let us know how it went, and he's smiling, he's
Yep.
saying yes behind that mask.
Yep.
Yeah, we can get an update on transportation, but not count it as the, where we bring her in and grill her on all the
Yep.
fun stuff like we do with food service. Yeah, absolutely. As I was interested to see how the app thing is working with the kids and the schools, the way it works for the different buses. I got a lot of questions that aren't.
The tracking works relatively well.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yes.
So yeah,
I think this would be probably would end up being a new app, to be honest with you, a new tracking app if we
There's
adopted
actually a
this system.
scan option in Here Comes the Bus. That's the app that we use for my son's particular bus.
Yeah.
There's a student scan option. Not that every elementary student's going to walk on the bus with an iPhone that they can have their little things scanned, but maybe like kindergarten bus tags all over again. Zip!
Yep. I kind of envisioned being something like that.
Yeah. So it looks like the technology might already be in Here Comes the Bus.
And is that for student or is that just in?
That's West Seneca specific
West Seneca?
buses.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That is both apps that we have are great. They just don't
Talk to each other.
talk to each other.
Correct.
They're angry with each other or something, so we're good there.
And
But
then
we all get an update on that.
I guess I have one other question for board discussion is, it didn't happen last year, obviously, COVID, nothing really happened. Are we going to go back to having a student representative board members? Can we get back to that?
Not only do I want that, because I loved hearing about what was going on at the high schools, Diane especially, and I think some other board members have put on this, there's the whole idea of having more conversations with the student reps from the schools and setting up almost like not a board committee, but what's the word, Diane?
Like either a principal's council or a superintendent council, where you get together every once in a while, a couple of students, like class leaders or whatever, maybe a couple teachers, and just discuss what's going on in the schools, what can we do to make things better. I know the Frontier and Iroquois has that I know of, so that might be something we could look into.
Oh, there's the Do It Too, actually. I'm aware of two others.
We did that.
I definitely think it should be someone based on maybe like a teacher recommendation or something like that, because you don't really want to go with like your class president, because really those are just popularity contests, to be honest.
Well-
Your students vote your students.
Wasn't the board,
So-
elected board? No.
Yeah, I guess so. But somebody that's actually interested in government and, maybe not, Mr. or Mrs. Popularity who
Sure, well, I don't want to.
already has a say in.
Yeah, I don't want to demean the position that they have, though.
No,
but
not at all.
Diane's actually going to look up a couple different ways other districts have done it, and then we can all make sure we give input on.
We have
Yeah.
done that in the past. So look back, probably, I know when I was president we did it, but in the
1942.
Thanks a lot, pal. But anyway, so look back, actually, Nicole could probably look back around 2012 and on. We had it within that area.
Okay. Yeah, we can go
It
into
was
that
really
too.
very nice, and the
Yep.
kids really, we met with them ahead of time, you know.
Yeah, it seems kind of nice.
programs, Yeah.
And that, I mean, that leads to the other thing too about the whole, if there's issues that people want to be coming, say they want to come to board meetings about, I'm not afraid of us scheduling, working on a forum where we could meet and, where we don't have to follow necessarily we can have conversations. I mean, some of the best nights I've had in this district are times where I've gone to a forum on, we had a forum on security. I learned so much. I think I was a board member, but I learned so much that night. You know, a few parents came, and it was nice to just be able to talk as opposed to having to follow these protocols and these 3 minutes. So, and again, shame on me for not making this happen sooner, but maybe that's something we should look to do in the next few weeks, is try to get a coffee clutch to get something where we can just talk to some community members, just like we want to talk to the high school kids and get some feedback. I mean, you know, I've always wanted to do it, and I always kind of,
Write it down, Ed.
I have
No,
some
I'm
thinking-
absolutely serious. Write it down.
I
We
have-
can
I
talk
have it in
about
our
it with
goal-
our goals.
Yes, I have in our bold goals, but again, shame on me for not like really pushing this, because it's something I've wanted to do for 8, 9, 10 years now. So that, you know, we'll figure out a way to make it happen. It's just so, where do you do it? That's, you know, but
We've got spaces in the district. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, West Senior Auditorium or cafeteria, I don't know, you've got big spaces.
I will follow up with an email tomorrow morning and we'll make it happen. Excellent. Thank you.
I think some of the things we talked about were like soliciting some input from the community just to see what sort of topics people would want to discuss though.
Yeah.
You obviously want it to be targeted, like, okay, here, we're talking about this or that, you know, so we can bring some information too.
Sure, yeah. And then we're not dealing with, you know, this hot room, and people can actually just talk. So I like it. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll start tomorrow morning. We'll get that rolling. I appreciate that very much.
We need to give the East Senior Auditorium some love. Everything happens at West.
It's
I said it.
that's where we had the academy inductions. It was nice in there.
But everything happens at West.
Well, you know. Okay, so I will move on to adjournment if that's all we have. Nicole, can we put something on the next agenda to discuss our 30-minute, 3-minute rule and all that, like a whole plan? We'll just read, because we've never really discussed it as a group. If you don't mind, I appreciate that. So I'll move on to adjournment. Do I take a vote on that? I would like to have, anyone want to make a motion to, no.
Exactly.
Are we
Wait.
going to executive?
Yes.
Oh,
See?
yeah, going to executive.
Okay. I'd like to move to executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment history of particular individuals and to discuss collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law. May I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Jody, may I have a second?
A second.
Diane? All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Okay, we will move to executive, and do I say we do not anticipate? Okay, so we're not gonna anticipate any more public part of the meeting, so anyone that watching at home, this will pretty much be it. We'll come back and adjourn when we're done with executive, and anyone here, if you want to catch us before we go in the room, we can do that, but thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
for
everyone. Have a
coming
good
tonight,
night.
everybody. Okay, we're back from executive session. I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
All motion?
Molly, anyone want a second? Conversation, I'll let everyone know that Jan Dalbo and Jody Petcha were left. They were excused, and that's about it, right? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Anyone against it? No. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-0. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.